Good morning. Welcome to your GPS to success. Just letting people come on in, letting people in the rooms on Zoom, checking the streams are all working on Facebook and YouTube, which is all looking lovely. So yeah, thank you for joining me here on this wonderful Tuesday morning. Hopefully, or definitely, there will be lots and lots of information that you can use to help you to start getting closer towards that success that you're seeking. And I've chosen this topic simply because it's the time of year when people are starting to struggle with their goals that they set, their New Year's resolutions, or they've given up entirely, or they didn't set them in the first place because they knew by this point they would have given up in the first place, so they didn't even start. Um, and it's a session that is going to help you to be able to set some better goals, I suppose, or to understand why we give up in the first place. Okay, so without further ado, this was supposed to be a live in-person event down in Cornwall, but due to a myriad of different things, it's now on Zoom. So this was originally settled to do 2 hours. Not quite sure if it will do the full 2 hours, because obviously if you're in a room, we have coffee breaks and more chatting and that sort of thing. But on Zoom, not so much. So it is scheduled for 2 hours, but I'm predicting probably closer to the hour and a half mark. But thank you for joining me anyway. And let's get started. So I'm just going to switch over my screens. Get rid of that, get rid of that. Put that up there. There we go. Haha, technology is on my side today. It's all good. So, welcome to your GPS to success. What this session we're going to do a quick welcome. We're going to go through why you're here. Then we're going to really dive deep onto the GPS approach. Time for Q&A at the end. So if you're on either Facebook or YouTube and you want to come over to the Zoom room, just drop a comment. And during our first little working session, I will get you over the details across to it. My trusty assistant couldn't help us today, so it's just me monitoring all of the data and everything else. And I've only got 2 screens, so hey, but we'll work with it. It's all good. So we'll do Q&A and then I will let you know some next steps which could be helpful. But first, you are here because maybe you're struggling a little bit, either with time management, where you're supposed to be going in life, just feeling like there should be something more than what you already have, or you're just constantly overwhelmed. Everyone and everything is trying to pull you from pillar to post to pillar to post, and you don't know what you're doing. Could be frustrated because of one of the first 2 things we've covered, or just frustrated that something isn't quite clicking properly. Or you just might be wanting some more time. So the whole key section of my GPS approach is productivity, to help you make more of the time that you've got. So those are things that you might be now. And what you want is to be able to stick to the goals that you set, to stop sabotaging yourself, because we are very good at that as human beings. Been there, done that, still do that sometimes. Human. You want to learn some new ideas and you want to hear about some proven techniques. Okay? So if all of these things are ticking all your boxes, then I thank you. You are in the right place. And this session will be recorded. So if you know anyone that this could really, really help, feel free, once you receive the recording, to fire it over to them. Okay? So I'm going to start officially the session with one of my favorite quotes, which is from C.S. Lewis, the guy that wrote The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And he said, you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. And the reason I've put that as pretty much the very first thing that we're going to cover today is because I want you to realize that while you might be feeling frustrated, you might be feeling stuck, you might be feeling like, what's the point? Why is nothing going the way I want it, etc., etc., etc. Don't beat yourself up for being where you are now. You are where you are. You can't change what you did yesterday or last week or 10 years ago. You can't change the fact that you didn't study at school or you didn't go into a certain career path and you chose the one that you're on now and you don't really like it. You can't change any of that. So don't beat yourself up over it. But what this quote does say is that you can start now to change your tomorrow. And that's why I really, really like it. And it's also very similar in approach to the quote from Kung Fu Panda, where the turtle, I think it's Master Oogway, tells Po, today it's the quote about today, yesterday, and tomorrow, isn't it? So yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. All you have is today, which is why it's called a present. It's a gift. So if you can, rather than worrying about things that are happening tomorrow and getting frustrated about things that did or didn't happen yesterday, focus on today. Today is all you've got. And if things are really overwhelming at the moment, then narrow that down to this morning or this hour or even the next couple of minutes. Okay? It's your choice what you focus on. But it's when we're trying to focus too far in the future or worrying about things that happened in the past that we get really, really, and we massively overwhelm ourselves. Okay? So I wanted to start the session with that note of don't beat yourself up for things you have or haven't done because you can't change them. You can only change what you do now and what you do tomorrow. Okay? So the GPS approach. Now, those of you who know me know that I come from a very geographical, cartography, out and about, outdoorsy kind of world. So when I was thinking about an approach that I could put together to help people in the same way that I've helped myself, using lots and lots of different techniques, loads of different books, loads of courses, mentors, all the rest of it, 3 letters stood out, and it was GPS. Because it's global positioning system, it's mapping, it's Earth, it's how we know where we are. But I've shifted those global positioning system to goals, productivity, and I didn't change the slide, and self-image. So paradigm, the word that I've put on there, was from my first iteration of the GPS approach when I was kind of playing with ideas and things. And a paradigm is something that it's kind of our internal control system, like an internal computer. It controls 95% of everything that we do. And I'm going to go into that a little bit in my goals session. But it's goals, productivity, and self-image, because I am a productivity coach. Okay, so let's get started on goals. For those of you who are here live, while I waffle for the next couple of minutes, make sure that you have pen and paper because you're going to need it to write down. This is a working session. This isn't a sit back, have me on in the background kind of session. This is you are going to be doing some activities. Okay. If that's something you can't do right now, that's absolutely fine. Keep listening, watch the replay, do the activities later. If you are watching on the recording, feel free to pause it now and grab yourself pen and paper because you're going to need them. Okay. So goals. And the first thing I want to go into is how your mind works. And this is linked to that sneaky little word paradigm. So I'm going to flip over to my little notepad here, and I'm going to draw you a little picture, which is the best way that I have found that helps me to understand how our mind works. Let's get the keyboard that way. Okay, so it's very simple, and feel free to copy this down as I do it. But it's a big circle and a little circle joined in the middle with arms and legs. So it's a little stick person. Okay. Now, we all know this is a stick person, but to explain how your mind works, we take it one step further. Okay. So you split your head in half, and this represents your mind. And our mind has 2 parts. We have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Okay, mind in there, and this bottom bit is your body. Now, your conscious mind is your thinking mind. It's where all the information that you gather on a daily basis goes in, okay? So it's fed by what you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. Okay, so these are your senses. So you've got your see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. And all of those go into your conscious mind. It's where all of your school education goes to. All of those long divisions and improper fractions and all those weird words in English to explain something being affected by the weather or whatever it is. Okay, all of that information is in your conscious mind. And that's what you use to think. Our minds and our brains especially have been designed so that not everything goes straight down from the conscious mind into the subconscious. Okay? Because if you think about it, if you had to process and internalize everything that you could see, hear, smell, taste, and touch all day long, you'd never get out of bed. Because you'd be too busy processing the feel of the sheets on your skin, the noises of the road, of the trees, of the birds, of the wind, everything you can see, every tiny little fleck of paint on the wall. You'd be able to see all of it and hear all of it and feel all of it. So you'd never have the energy to move because you'd be processing all of it. So our conscious mind then filters what it sends down to the subconscious. Okay? So if the conscious mind is the educated thinking mind, the subconscious is the emotional mind. Okay? It's where all our feelings are. If you look back through Greek mythology, you think with your conscious mind and you feel with your subconscious mind, and they call the subconscious mind your heart. Okay? And there's loads and loads of neurological research and things that shows through the vagus nerve in the back, right, up and down your spine, and all the nerve systems and everything else, your heart and your brain are linked. And most emotions come from your heart, subconscious mind. Okay? So your subconscious mind is where you feel. So you think what you're thinking, whatever it is you're thinking about. That then informs how you feel. Okay? So if you're looking at a situation and you're thinking quite negatively about it, you're going to feel quite negative, aren't you? Same as if you look at something and you decide that it's a good thing. It's a nice thing. It could be a nice sunset or an A+ on your exam or a promotion or somebody saying something nice. You feel good. Okay? That in turn then goes down to your body to create the vibration that your body's in. Okay? And whatever vibration your body's in, be it negative or positive, goes out as action to the universe. Okay? So what you put out. So if we go back to you're feeling negative, you've woken up on the wrong side of the bed, you've stubbed your toe, you're in a really bad mood, you're feeling really naff, you get in the car and you drive to work and every single traffic light turns red. Now, is that coincidence or is that you creating those negative things? Okay, you could get cut up. You could be late for work. The traffic's really horrendous. That could all be because you are thinking negative, feeling negative, pushing out real negativity into the universe, and the universe can only react to what you're putting out. So if you're putting out negative, you're going to get negative back. Okay? Very, very easy way to test this is if you see somebody in the street and you kind of, you don't really kind of interact, you send out some negativity or you push past them or you don't open a door for someone or whatever, and your negativity rubs off on them, they then give it back, don't they? And it's true on the flip side. If you smile at someone, could be complete random stranger you've never met before, you just pass them in the street, you smile, they'll smile back. You've put out good, they've given good back. Okay, and that's how our minds are kind of wired as well. So it all comes down to our mind works based on what we think. Slight catch to this, though, is that 95% of all of our behavior, everything we do every day, is controlled in the subconscious mind. Okay, so 95% of everything we do is controlled by our subconscious. And you can test that by thinking about it really, really simply. So the next time you go to put your shoes on, which foot do you put in first? And it'll be the same one every time. Same as when you make a cup of tea or a certain meal or something like that. You go through the same stages. I use cup of tea. One, I'm British and apparently we like tea. And two, it's kind of relatable. It's something that everyone does. Everyone does in a different way. So some people put the tea bag in the cup, add the hot water, let it brew, then add the milk and sugar. Some people will put the milk and sugar in, add the hot water, and then put the tea bag in. Okay? Some people might put the tea bag in a teapot. Everyone does it exactly like a different way. Some people will count the number of times they stir the cup one way, and then they might go and turn it back the other way. Okay? The end result is still a cup of tea. But everyone does it differently. And you do it based on how you've decided to do it. But that's controlled subconsciously. It's the same as when you're driving a car. When you first learn to drive a car, you really have to think about it, don't you? You have to put it in gear, you've got to put the clutch in, you've got to check all your mirrors, check your blind spots. You've got to think about all of those little things. When you've been driving a couple of years, I don't know about you, but I can sometimes end up at my destination without even realizing I've left the house. So I know I've got in the car, and then all of a sudden I'm there. And I'm like, how to get from there to there? Because you've done it almost automatically. Your brain knows how to drive. So it switches off and lets your subconscious take over. Okay? So 95% of everything we do all day long is controlled by our subconscious. And that's why we get the results that we get. Because if you want to change something, you've got to change your automatic programming. And that can be a little bit tricky. But that's the S part of GPS. So we'll come on to that later on through the self-image. But what I want you to hear now is that what you think dictates how you feel, which dictates what you do. And the only part of that that is really under your control is what you think. So if you're thinking, so you're in a situation, any situation, anywhere on the planet can be good and bad. It's got equal amounts of good as it does bad. But it's your choice whether you see the good or you see the bad. Really black and white example, losing your job. Okay? We are hardwired to think that's a bad thing because, oh my God, how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to put food on the table? I'm supposed to be going on holiday. What about the family? What about this? Blah, 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 blah. Okay? How am I going to do all of that? But you can choose to think good. You can choose to think, well, okay, but actually I didn't like that job. And this is going to give me the push now to go and get the job that I actually want to go and do, that I was offered last week, that I've turned down because I've got to stay here because this is safe. And we do that in almost every single part of our lives. We stay where we are because it is safe, because our subconscious puts up royal battles if we try and do something different. All those people who start a business, the first few months are absolute hell on earth because your subconscious is trying to say, but the job was safe. We knew where the income was coming from. Let's just go back over there. It's why people stay in relationships that aren't very good for them either. Because while this relationship might not be very nice, they might not like it, out here is unknown. So to our subconscious mind, this is a threat. This is known, therefore this is safe. This is a threat. This is unknown. This is scary. Okay? And that's why we sabotage ourselves when we go for new goals. The big one that everyone sets on the 1st of January is either dry January, no alcohol for the month, or they start a new diet. Okay? And because both of those things take away stuff that make us feel good, the alcohol maybe doesn't make you feel good the next day, but while you're doing it, it does, apparently. But if you take that away, your body's like, I like that. Same as if you decide to go on a diet where you really limit the amount of sugary things you eat. Now, just remember, over Christmas, you've eaten every single thing in the Cadbury's tin or the celebrations tin, or all of the stollen and all of the extra food and everything else. So your body's like, yes, this is amazing. Get to January, like, nope, no more of that. What? Hey, hang on a minute. But we like that. Why can't I eat that? Because we're on a diet. Why are we on a diet for? Because we want to look good. If we want to eat good as well. And then you get in this little kind of backwards and forwards between your conscious and your subconscious. Okay? And that's why our goals kind of fail, because we set goals thinking we want this, but we don't wait. We don't want to wait to get it. We want to go to the gym twice and have the body of a goddess. It doesn't work like that. But in our world that we live in now, we live for instant gratification. If you think about it, I'm bored. I need something to do. Pick up the TV remote, instant entertainment. Oh, I need to speak to someone. Pick up the phone, instantly on the other end of the phone, or send them a message. You want to be stimulated, play a game, and you instantly get the response backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. A lot of our learning nowadays is online. So you do an online course, you get the result there and then. So when we have to wait for something, like our body to change shape, or the new diet to actually impact our health positively, we get bored after a couple of days. And it only takes walking past that cake shop or the coffee shop or the burger van at the weekend or whatever, and the smells trigger in your mind, oh, that smells good. I want that. And your body then craves it and makes you feel like crap because it wants it and you won't give it to it. So then it sulks. We're basically just big children. If we don't get what we want, and it's subconscious, the things that we want, we sulk. And when you sulk, I'm sure if any of you have been around small children, or if you can remember when you were a small children, when you sulk, you feel pretty naff. So your body does that to you because it subconsciously wants you to have that thing because it knows how good it makes you feel. And that's why a lot of our goals fail. And it's really frustrating. But it can be overcome. Because once you then know what's happening, you can set a new goal and set everything in place that will help you get to it. And that's what we're going to go through when my mouse works now. Okay? So your mind can be your guide is the first bit I want you to hear before we go into the goal setting. So you think, you feel, you do. Okay? So if you know when you're setting a goal that you are here, and knowing that you are here, you need to be really honest with yourself. Okay? So by saying, where are you? It's like linking it back to the GPS, like a sat nav in a car. For a GPS to go to where you want to go, the goal, it has to know where you are now and where this place is. Okay? So the first step is to know where you are now. With a GPS, it's taking it outside and making sure it can see a satellite. For you, it's being really honest with yourself, black and white facts. This is my career. These are my finances. This is my relationship. This is my home. This is my me. Yeah? And that little list, no one else is going to see it. And again, don't beat yourself up that you want to be earning, I don't know, 10 grand a month and you're earning 1. That's just where you are now. It's just a black and white fact. You then decide where you want to go. And that's the bit we're going to go on to on the next slide. But like a GPS, you need to know where you are and where you want to go. When you program where you want to go, your mind will then give you ideas of how to get there. But it'll only give you one step at a time. Okay, so for example, using the sat nav as an analogy, if I want to go from here in Plymouth up to where my mum lives in Leeds, I know that I have to set Leeds in my sat nav, and then it will calculate the route and give me a rough idea of, okay, I'm going to go that way. And then when I press start, it will say at the end of the road, turn right. And it will give me no more instructions until I've turned right at the end of the road. Once I've turned right, it will then say, at the roundabout, go straight over. And it will give me nothing else until I've crossed the roundabout and gone straight over. And your mind works exactly the same. You tell it where you want to go, you set the goal, and then it gives you a step by step. Okay? So, first little bit of work I want you guys to do. We're going to have about 3 or 4 minutes. I want you to just sit and think about what it is you want. Okay? Now, we all live really, really busy lives. So, the best way to do this is to get yourself really calm and present with where you are now. And the way I do that is through a technique called belly breathing. And what it does is it completely overstimulates your parasympathetic nervous system, which completely calms you down. Okay? Now, if you are driving while listening to this, do not do this with us now. Because if you've never done it before, it can make you feel a little bit lightheaded, which if you're driving might not be the best thing. Okay? But the idea is that you take a deep breath in through your nose and you fill your belly first. So 2/3 of the breath goes into your belly before it starts to lift into your chest. And then you breathe out through your mouth like you're breathing out through a straw. Okay, so the in breath takes about 3 to 4 seconds. Try and sit up nice and straight. And then the out breath will be 3 or 4 seconds as well. Okay, so let's do that together if you're not driving. Okay, and if you are prone to feeling a little bit faint, low blood pressure kind of thing, make sure you sat down. Okay, but if you breathe in through your nose, down into your belly and then into your chest, and then breathe out through your mouth like you're blowing out through a straw. And you'll feel a little bit dizzy. But we're going to do 3 of those. So one more in through your nose. And then out through your mouth like a straw. And then just one more. In through your nose. And then out like you're breathing through a straw. And you'll feel a bit floaty. And you'll see, even for me, my speed of my speech has slowed down because I'm calmer. Okay? And what you want to do now is literally take a piece of paper and write down on it everything that you want. Okay? So everything that comes into your mind, you write down on that paper and you ignore any thoughts that says to you, oh, I can't do that because I can't have that because. No, ignore those thoughts. They're not relevant right now. Okay? You might want more money, bigger house, better job, a weekly massage, manicures and pedicures, I don't know, to build your own house. I've put a load of examples on the screen for you if you're really struggling, but just ask yourself, what do I want? And start writing. Okay? Got a little bit of music to play. We're going to come back in about 2 or 3 minutes. Okay? But ask yourself, what do I want? If anything, so if I had all the time, all the resources, all the skills, everything I could possibly ever want, what would I get? What would I want? Have a go at doing that now. Awesome. So this list is something that you should come back to over a couple of days, because the more you think about what you want, you'll get some ideas at first. And then when you give yourself permission to dream that little bit more ideas will come up. Okay? All the little things. So the things you really, really, really want that you already know you want will be the first things on the list. But the more you think about it, there might be some smaller things that actually you really want, but you kind of gloss over a little bit. Okay? There we go. So once you have written down your list, and this could be an exercise where you do in a couple of days' time, say, when you've really, really thought about what it is that you want. Okay? But you write your list and then you choose one thing off of that list that is going to become your goal. Okay? And when you choose that one thing, you've got to ask yourself two main questions. Okay? And they are, does this thing make me feel excited and energized? Like, if you had that thing, life would be 100 million times better than it is now. Okay? This could also make you feel a little bit scared, which is your subconscious mind getting involved. Okay? So it'll make you feel scared because it's like, we can't have that. We don't have the money. We don't have the time. What do you want about? That's scary. That's over there. Let's stay here. No, ignore that. Shut that voice out. Okay? As I said before, you can only choose what you think about. So when you hear that little voice coming up, you can choose to consciously put it in a box and tell it to just shush for a minute. Okay? You can kind of talk to yourself, not in a crazy person, white coats kind of way, but you can encourage yourself to just be like, well, look, I see that you are feeling a little bit about this thing that we want. And I know you want it too, because you are part of me. But let's just explore for a little bit. Let's just entertain the idea. And then your subconscious mind might play along for a little bit. It'll bring the fear and the worry and the doubt up later. That's what it's programmed to do. It is programmed to keep you safe. And this new idea is not safe because it's not known. Okay? The second question you need to ask yourself when you're thinking about your goal is, does it belong to you, or are you choosing it because it will help someone else? So one of my previous clients that I've worked with before, a lovely lady over in America, her original goal when she came to me was to own a shop. So she was going to work in this shop, and that was her goal. And when we dug a little bit deeper, it actually turned out that it was her husband that wanted this shop. He wanted like a repair shop so he could create things and repair things and do all the little things that he loved to do creatively. And his idea was for her to then be the customer facing person. So speaking to people in the shop while he's out the back fixing and creating and repairing. And she's selling the things that he's made. And when we dug down to it a little bit even deeper underneath that, she was like, I don't want to do that. I want to be doing the crafty stuff. She's a painter. She wanted to be doing the painting. So while originally she thought her goal was to own this shop and run this shop, that's not what she wanted in the slightest. That was what her husband wanted. And fast forward about 4 months of working together, her and her husband had a nice sit down chat. And she was able to tell him, actually, I don't want to run the shop. I want to be in the shop with you, to share it. So kind of she's got time to do her arty stuff that she likes to do, and he's got time to do his repairing and his creativity. And they'll do it together rather than doing it together in separate ways. And I spoke to them just before Christmas, and they were looking at some properties and things and expanding out of their garage, which is where they're kind of doing their work at the moment. Okay? But your goal has got to be something for you. And the reason why these two questions are so important is because you need to know why you want it. Okay. It's okay to say, I want more money. Well, how much? Why? Why do you want more money? You could go down the street and pick up a penny off the floor. That's more money. Probably not what you meant, but it is more money. It's a penny more than you had 5 minutes before that. Okay. But you've got to know why you want it. Why is this thing the thing that you want? And if it is a money goal, you could say, I want to earn £10,000 a month. Well, why? Why do I want that amount of money? Oh, because that will allow me to buy a camper van. It will allow me to pay more on my mortgage so that I can pay my house off and have this house done. And then that then gives me enough money to save to the deposit or to buy another property. Why is it you want that thing? Okay. Some people might want to start a charity. Why? Maybe they've got a family member who they couldn't help, and they now want to help others in the same situation who were going through what they went through, and there's no support out there. So they want to set up something to help others. But that's to help others, yes, but it's also what they want to do. Okay. If we go back to New Year's resolutions, when you set the resolution of, I'm going to eat healthier and I'm going to go to the gym more often to become fit and healthy and strong, why? Why do you want that? I'm going on holiday in the summer, and I want to be able to sit on the beach without feeling subconscious or self-conscious, sorry. Okay. Why? Oh, why? I don't know. If you can't get past 2 or 3 whys, it's not strong enough. And there's an amazing tool that's called 7 Levels Deep that can really help you with this. Okay. And the idea is you set your goal and then you ask yourself, why do I want this? And you answer it. Well, why do I want that? And you answer it. Why do I want that? And you answer it. And you basically ask yourself why 7 times. If you get to 3 or 4 and you're getting stuck, or you're repeating what you've already said, the goal isn't big enough. If you get all the way down to number 7 and you're in floods of tears because you know how much of a difference this is going to make and you've uncovered the actual underlying reason why you want to do it, then it's perfect. And it could be something that seems so out there. You're like, how am I ever going to get to that? But that's not relevant at the moment. Okay. Like a GPS, you just need to set the destination. Okay. Once the destination is set and you are committed, you know what steps to then take. And you'll instantly know roughly how to get there. Okay. If it's to buy a new car, say, and you want this specific car because it's better than the one you've got now, it'll allow you to take your kids on holiday, like camping holidays. It'll allow for more members of the family and more friends and things to get together. And you've got your 7 levels deep and you're happy. You know, to buy that new car, ultimately you need to earn some more money. So then you say, well, how am I going to earn some more money? Okay, and start brainstorming some ideas. Side hustles. Ask the boss for a promotion. Start your own business. Start creating things and selling them. Okay, there's loads of different ideas, but the ideas will not come to you until you know where you're going. You have to have the destination first. Okay, and then once you've got that goal, once you've got that thing that you really, really want, you write it in a sentence, and then you put it on a little card, like a business card shape card. Where's it gone? It fell out of my wallet yesterday. There it is. Like a card like that size. Okay. You can write a little quote on the back. This one is empowered women empower women. Okay. Can't really see that up there, but hey. Now it's on the floor. You write it on the card and then you carry that everywhere. It could be that you've got 3 or 4 different cards. So you've got one in your phone, one in your pocket, one on the bedside table, one in the bathroom, one next to the kettle, wherever you've got them so that you're seeing it all the time. Okay? Because the more often you read that card with that goal, the more often you're thinking about it and filtering that down into the subconscious and reprogramming yourself to think, that's what I want. And the really, really key trick to that is that you write your goal as if you've already achieved it. So, for example, you start with the sentence that's on the screen and it says, I am so happy and grateful now that I have whatever it is, or I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm easily and effortlessly earning £10,000 per month from my multiple sources of income. I'm so happy and grateful now that I live in the 5-bedroom house, the bottom of a mountain on the edge of the lake. Whatever it is, you write it as your goal, as if you've already achieved it. And then you read it and you think about it as often as possible. And at that point, you need to make sure at all times you either have a notepad and pen in your pocket or you've got a notes app on your phone that is very easy to get to. Because all day long, especially at times when you're not really thinking that you're thinking, you will get random little nudges that will tell you to do something. You know, like you'll be sat in a meeting somewhere and you'll be like, oh, I need to contact Bob. I need to do this. I wonder what so-and-so's doing. And you get those weird little thoughts that seemingly come from nowhere. They're like little nudges from the universe to say, contact this person, speak to this person. Why don't you try this? And when you then try those different things, they're going to start taking you towards your goal. It could be as random as go to the coffee shop after work. You don't know why you're going to the coffee shop, but you've had that nudge to go to the coffee shop after work. And in the coffee shop that evening could be the next thing that you need to get to your goal. There could be someone there that you accidentally bump into that's really big on stocks and shares, say. And if you've got a money goal and they can then teach you how to do stocks and shares and increase your income, that sounds like a good nudge. So don't ever dismiss a nudge. And if you can't do something about it right there and then, write it down and you can come back to it later. Okay? So that's our goal setting bit. And you will find, like I've said, that your goal will evolve a few times, especially over the next couple of days, as you start to think of things that you want. Okay? But come back to your list. Maybe once a day, maybe first thing in the morning or last thing at night before you go to bed. And really let yourself dream. Get rid of that little voice that says you can't do it because of this, that, and the other. Just dream about the things that you want. Okay? So, next bit is productivity. Okay? So, this question I want you to ask yourself, and I want you to ask yourself really honestly. How much of what you did yesterday was unproductive? Okay? And it stems back to the fact that there are 24 hours in a day. Every single person on the planet has 24 hours in a day. You can't change that. No billionaire can buy an extra 2 hours or anything like that. There are 24 hours in a day. The only thing you can manage is what you do with those 24 hours. Okay? The homeless person on the street has the same number of hours as the billionaire tycoon, who has the same number of hours as the single mum working 4 jobs, trying to make ends meet for the kids and to keep a roof over their head. Everyone has 24 hours. But it's what you do with them that makes the difference. So if you think really, really honestly about what you did yesterday, how much of it was helping you to get to where you want to go? Okay? And the easier way to break that down is to do a little activity like this. Okay? So this is our second activity. I want you to really think about what you did yesterday and break it down. So what time did you get up? What did you do between 8 and 10? Or 6 and 10 if you get up really early? What did you do between 10 and 12? 12 and 2, and try and break it down into like 2-hour blocks. Okay? And then write down what time you went to bed. this is really going to help you to kind of break down how much of your day is effectively wasted. And I don't mean that in a nasty way, because I am just as guilty as sitting on my phone when I shouldn't be, when I should be doing something else, because it's subconscious programming. Oh, I'll just watch another episode on Netflix before I get on with whatever it is. I will just check social media before I do that next chapter of a book that I'm writing. Okay, and before you know it, it's 3 hours later. Okay, we're all guilty of procrastination. And procrastination doesn't mean that you are lazy. It just means that your subconscious mind is giving you 150 other things to do than the thing it knows will get you to where you want to go. Okay? And I've got some tips in a minute of how you get around it. But first off, it's really helpful to know where you are now. Okay? So just spend a couple of minutes having a quick kind of brainstorm a little bit about what you did yesterday. Okay? Just write it down and see what comes up. And I've just realised my little clicky button for some music isn't on this slide. So I'll be quiet. You write down what you did yesterday. Okay, so if I give you a quick example, which has disappeared. Where's it gone? Ah. Just let me re-screen share this. Connect, accept. There we go. So when I look at my yesterday, as this list, if it lets me, haha, there we go. It looks quite a productive day. Okay. Now, yesterday, because I knew I was doing this today, it was almost like my subconscious was kind of in its little box and I was able to just focus and get on. But I know, if I'm being really honest, that at this point here, before I started creating a presentation, I know that I was on social media. Okay. I also know that my kitchen sides got wiped down. Okay. Which they didn't need because I'd already done that when I made lunch. But I was procrastinating because I didn't want to do the presentation because my subconscious knew that by doing it, it would change things. Okay. Because the more presentations I give, the more time I'm giving to my business and changing things around to level up to go to the next thing. And my subconscious doesn't like that because it still thinks that I should be going to work in a 9 to 5 job because that's safe. And that's what my whole family tell me is safe. But I don't want to do it. So I keep pushing against it. So it's kind of like being at loggerheads with yourself. I really want to do the business stuff and my side hustles and all my other little bits because it's more enjoyable. It's more fun. I've got the freedom to do what I like. I can go to parents' evenings. I can go to sports days. I can go to the gym when I feel like during the day. But my subconscious is pushing back. Well, the 9 to 5 job is better. You get more money. It's a stable income. And you kind of go backwards and forwards. So when you find yourself during the day putting off that thing that you know you've really got to do, that's when you need to go and do it. And this next little bit is what I'm going to share with you, the tips and tricks of how, to get around it. Oh, get rid of that. Wait, okay, so I'm going to go backwards and forwards a little bit at this point to show you how these things work. But the first thing, my favorite thing that I learned from a story that I listened to ages ago is called a get done list. And it is effectively the same thing as a to-do list, but more fun. Okay. So if I just go back onto my Remarkable a second, it's basically, normally you'd write out all of the things you've got to do in a day, don't you? You write them all down in a big list. And as you go through the day, you tick them off and yeah. But that's not, I don't find that very motivating. I find that a bit like I have to do these things and it feels like a bit of a chore. So I do it in a different way. I set it up where I have 3 columns. Okay. Now this can be done on paper. It can be done on a whiteboard. It can be done on an Excel spreadsheet. The key thing is that you can move things around. So for example, if I put write presentation here, that's one of the things I have to do. Okay. I need to be able to move it without rewriting it. So on a Remarkable, I move it over. So it goes to there and then it goes to there. Okay. Excel spreadsheets are really helpful for that sort of thing. And also using a whiteboard with post-it notes or a little like magnets or corkboard or anything like that where you can write it on something and then move it. And the 3 headings that you have at the top of your columns are get done, doing, and got done. Okay? So in the get done column are all the things you have to get done today. So like a to-do list. All right? So it could be write presentation, record podcast, call clients, or if you're a salesperson, call prospects. Okay? Your list will be completely individual to you. There'll be stuff on your list that won't be on someone else's, who someone else would be like, well, why are you doing that? You don't need to do that. Well, if you do, then you do. Okay? And then what you do throughout the day is that you choose the thing that you're working on and you move it over to doing. Okay? Everything else on your list, so all of this podcast, call clients, call prospects, you ignore that because it's on the list. You can't forget about it. You are only focused on writing that presentation. And when that presentation is written, you move it into the got done. And then you start on the next. So that goes into the doing, and then it goes across to the got done. And you only focus on one thing at a time until it is as done as it can be done. Okay? And at the end of the day, you've got this nice long list of things that you've got done. And this is what makes a get done list different to a to-do list. Because this list of got dones is now like your own personal little cheerleader. Okay? So if you're doing it on a Remarkable or on paper like I am, you can save it. And then on the next day, you just create a new page. Okay? If you're doing it on an Excel spreadsheet, copy everything in the got done column into another sheet and just keep making a big long list. If you're doing it on a whiteboard or a corkboard or something and you've got it on little scraps of paper, get an empty jar and at the end of every day, fold up all the got dones and put them in the jar. And when it gets to, say, Wednesday or Thursday and you feel like you've done absolutely nothing and you're feeling really unproductive and you're giving yourself a hard time, all you've got to do is look at that jar of coloured paper or that list on Excel or the couple of pages that you've got going on your electronic notepad and think, well, actually, look what I've done. Look at all these things that I've done. So I am productive. And it gives you that little bit of boost of motivation. Okay? On the slideshow, it showed that number 2, my second tip, is prioritizing. And that basically is the get done list upgraded. Okay? So you have your list of things that you need to do, and you've written your list down. Okay? And that could be on a separate piece of paper somewhere. So in the evening, just before you go to bed, right, what have I got to do tomorrow? I need to do this, 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 and this. Okay? You then prioritize that list based on which one of those things is going to make the biggest impact to your life tomorrow. Okay? So if you're a salesperson, or you're a business owner and you need to get some clients in, you kind of need customers to be able to run your business. This one goes right at the top. And you don't do anything else until you've called those people. Now, obviously, if your work day starts at 6 because you're an early bird, maybe don't try and ring people at 6 o'clock in the morning. They might not appreciate it unless you know they are an early bird like you. Okay? So it might go second or third and you do a couple of little things beforehand. But the most important thing that is going to get you to your goal goes right at the top. Okay? The second thing could be, say, record the podcast. Okay? And then the third thing is catch up with some clients. Maybe you've got some, you need to call some people back. I think I've just missed a call from someone. I made a fabric order at the weekend to make a tablecloth because I'm doing a business expo in April. So they'll be calling me to check the order. Okay? So you call the clients back and then maybe this presentation isn't being delivered for another 2 weeks. So you've got time. But these other 3 things are really important. They have to be done today. So they go at the top of the list. Okay? So you've prioritized. And then next morning, when you wake up, you focus on number 1 and you ignore all the others until that thing is done. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah, perfect. Okay, so that's a get done and a priority list. The next bit, 10-minute tasks. So a 10-minute task is you can have the best get done list in the world. It can be fully prioritized. You could be fully on it. Yes, I'm going to get all these things done today. And you start work and you are just not in the mood. Things are just pulling your attention elsewhere. You can't focus. You really can't build that motivation to do that thing. And it's just one of those days. It happens. We're human. Some days you're just not feeling it. Could be the moon's full, or there's a solar flare happening, or hormones, or anything, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But you need to get back on track. And you've noticed that you are not being productive. So as soon as you notice that you are not being productive and you are not doing that thing that you should be doing right now, you can go and do a 10-minute task. Okay? It could be that you've got a really long, boring report that is just draining the life out of everything that needs doing. And you've reached a point and you just, oh, I'm just going to check my phone for 5 minutes. And then you notice you've been scrolling for half an hour. At that point, or when you notice you're not being productive, simply count back from 5 in your head or out loud if you're on your own, and then walk away. So it's like, I'm scrolling, right? Okay, I'm scrolling. I shouldn't be scrolling. I should be doing something else. Stopping in 5, stopping scrolling in 4, 3, 2, 1. I am stopping scrolling now. And you lock your phone and you walk away. Okay. And the 10-minute task, what you do is you do something productive that can be started and finished in 10 minutes. Okay. No more than 10 minutes, but more than about 5. So maybe 5 to 10 minutes long. It could be hoover a room. It could be make a bed. It could be sort the washing out, do the washing up. It could be read 5 pages of a book, do a little bit of a creative project, go for a walk around the block, do a 10-minute workout. Just 10 minutes where when you've done that thing, you feel a sense of achievement. Oh, doesn't that room look good now I've hoovered it? Look how clean that bookshelf is now. It's all nice and non-dusty. Oh, that pile of washing up was really bugging me, but now it's sorted. It's done. Okay? So it's just something, anything that will take less than 10 minutes to do. And once you've got that nice little, I feel good. I did that. Look how good that is. You then go back to work. Okay? And you get straight back on. So 10-minute tasks can really, really help when you notice that you are not doing what you should be doing. Okay? And that leads me into number 4. My 4th productivity tip is the Pomodoro technique. Now, some of you will have heard of that. It was set up by an Italian in the 1980s as they call it a time management tip. But as I've said already, you can't manage time. You can only manage activity. So the Pomodoro technique is basically where you set a timer, and you can use an egg timer. I have a Windows laptop, a HP. It's got a focus option in the clock. So if I just show you, so it's the little clock symbol down here. And then on the clock, which is this little one here, you can get ready to focus and you set it up for the time that you want. And the idea is that you have a focus period for 25 minutes and then a break for 5. And you can set it for as long as you're going to work for. So it could be that you're going to work for 2 hours. So it could be 10 till 12. You're going to work for 2 hours. So you set it up for 120 minutes and then you start your focus session. And the counter counts down. After 25 minutes, I will pause that, it sounds an alarm. At that point, you click save if you're working on a computer, or you get to a very quick stop of whatever you're doing and you walk away. Now, when I first heard that, I was like, but I'll forget what I'm doing. If I'm mid-sentence of an email, I'm going to forget what I'm writing. Don't panic. I have tested it extensively. You don't forget. In fact, it actually helps you to word it better when you come back. It's really weird. But your timer goes off at 25 minutes, and then you go and have a 5-minute break. It could be that you use the loo, make a drink, make a snack. I like to sew. So my sewing machine is always set up with the next bit of the project. So I usually have my timer on my portable speaker, and I'll take the speaker into the other room and I'll do 5 minutes on the sewing machine until the timer goes off. When the timer goes off after 5 minutes, you come back and you get on with your work and you just pick up where you left off. And you do that for a maximum of 2 hours. After 2 hours, take a longer break, maybe 15, 20 minutes, half an hour if it's lunchtime, something like that. Okay? But it really helps your mind to stay focused. Because if you've got 2 hours of working on this really soul-destroyingly boring project that really needs to be done, that concept of 2 hours isn't going to help your motivation. But if you know every 25 minutes you are definitely having a break, all of a sudden that 2 hours feels like nothing. And it can really help to keep you motivated. Okay? Now, even using Pomodoro, there are still going to be times where your focus wanders. It's just one of those days. You've got the mind of a hyperactive terrier. Squirrel! Yeah. That's when your 10-minute task can come in. Okay? So if you feel yourself being really unproductive, nothing is working, do a 10-minute task. Walk away, take a longer break and come back. Caveat to 10-minute task, do not go on your phone or on a game because it's really hard to come off of it. Okay? A quick game of solitaire with a pack of cards or something, fine. But an electronic game with ads and flashy stuff, doesn't work. It's got to be something productive that you can do physically. So like I said, dust a bookcase, hoover a floor, do the washing up. Something that you don't really want to do, but you're going to get done and you're going to feel good for doing it. Okay? So that's tip number 3 and 4. Number 5 is accountability. Now, we can hold ourselves to account quite effectively, sometimes. Sometimes we let ourselves off the hook. It's okay if I don't get that done today. I can do it tomorrow. It's fine. I don't really fancy. I'll do it tomorrow. It's fine. I'll let myself off the hook. Oh, that exercise routine in day 3. Yeah, maybe I'll just do 2 sessions tomorrow. No, doesn't work. Little and often is the aim of the game. Okay? Trying to do a big lump of activity on day 1 and then nothing for 3 days and then a big activity on day 4, you're eventually going to lose interest because you're not being consistent. Okay? So if you know you've got to do something every single day to get to your goal, find yourself an accountability partner. Now, it could be a friend, it could be a coach, it could be your boss, it could be a colleague, it could be your children. Okay? It could be anything that will hold you to account. Because if you have someone that you have to report to at the end of the day to say, I've done this, 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 and this, you're more likely to have done that list. If you're just reporting to yourself, you're going to be like, well, I did this and this, but then I did this instead. Even though I was supposed to do this, which was priority, which is going to get me to where I want to go, I procrastinated and did this instead because I didn't fancy doing that. Okay? But if you've got to report to somebody, you're going to be more likely to do it. All right? And then the last little tip is kind of a little bonus. It's an idea, an approach that will help you to work out what you should be doing in the first place. Okay? So technically it could go before the get done list because it'll help you to know what to write on the list. But I add it in at the end as a little bit of an extra bonus, and it's called the 3-3-3 approach. And it comes from, I heard this originally from my mentor, Bob Proctor, who heard it from Earl Nightingale. And it is a story about a guy called Bob Templeton over in the States who wanted to raise $3 million in 3 hours in 3 days' time. And basically, he'd driven to a seminar in Canada. And on the way back, he drove through a town that had been completely wiped out by a tornado. And he wanted to raise $3 million for that town. And he decided that he was going to do it in 3 days' time in a 3-hour kind of slot. Okay? So he went back to his office and he was a radio broadcaster. So he went into the office and he said, right, I want to raise $3 million. Okay? In 3 days' time. And everyone went, the hell are you on about? How are we going to raise $3 million in 3 days' time? That's impossible. And he went, no, that's not what we're doing. This is what we're doing. So on a whiteboard or on a flip chart, it was a few years ago, he drew a big cross like this. And he put under this side how we can. And on this side is reasons why we can't. Okay? And he put a big cross through that side so no one could write anything on it. And he said, anyone who comes up with an idea of how we can do it, we write it in the first column. Anyone who then says we can't do that because we use the word next. Okay? So for example, somebody piped up and said, well, why don't we do a radio broadcast, like a charitable radio broadcast where people can radio in and donate money? And they went, okay, so we write that down, radio broadcast, And somebody piped up and they said, how are you going to get people to do that? That's not going to work. And all the room did was look at this person and go, next. And then someone else piped up and said, oh, we could get ×2 of the big anchors. And I can't remember the anchors' names, but it was 2 big radio like anchors. And they were in different like companies. So Bob Templeton's company had one of them, and the other one worked for someone else. So someone said, oh, he's never going to work with him. They work separately. Next. And then they thought a bit more. I was like, actually, we could do it so we could share the broadcast. And anyone apparently who knows anything about the radio industry, especially in Canada and America, 2 radio stations do not work together. So somebody said that. They're not going to work with us. Next. And they just kept nexting, okay, until they had this big long list. And 3 days later, this radio company, Bob Templeton's company, put on a radio broadcast that lasted for 3 hours, that had the 2 big anchors, and shared it with another radio broadcasting centre. So they both broadcast at the same time, and they raised $3 million in 3 days in a 3-hour slot. So it works. So it became the 3-3-3 approach. And it works with anything. So if you put at the top your goal, and it works really, really well. If like, so if you're a business owner, you get all your heads of departments and things together and say, right, this is the problem I want to solve. This is what we need to do. Let's brainstorm some ideas. And then the collective minds in the room will then come up with different ideas. And if everyone's focused on the fact of this is the problem we need to solve, we don't really care where the idea comes from or who gets the credit, but this is what we need to do. Okay, and it can really help creative juices to flow so that you can kind of come up with a really long list of how you're going to get to your goal. Okay, so now you've got those few little productivity tips. I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to write down a list of things that you need to do tomorrow. Now, it's only 11:15 here at the moment, so if it wants to be things that you need to do this afternoon, feel free, okay? But you write it first on one side of the paper, and then you're going to take that list of things you need to do tomorrow and prioritize them, okay? If you've got something that is happening at a set time, so I don't know, maybe you've got a doctor's appointment at 12, that doesn't need to go on the get done list because it's got a set time to it. You have to go and do that anyway, all right? So don't make the get done list too long. Maybe 5 or 6 things that you want to get done tomorrow or this afternoon that will help you get towards your goal. So it could be that sales call that you're putting off. It could be the writing a chapter of a book. It could be finishing off that report. It could be researching something for a project. Anything like that. Write it down, 5 or 6 things that are really important to get done either this afternoon or tomorrow. Then prioritize them and then put them in an Excel sheet or write them on some, where are they? Some little Post-it notes or something, and stick them on the wall or on a whiteboard or on a magnetic board, anything that works for you. And then tomorrow or this afternoon, you focus on number 1 and you just work on that one until it's done. If you don't get everything on your get done list done, don't panic. Because as long as you've got the most important things done first, your day has been productive. And if you haven't got all of them done, you wouldn't have got them done today or tomorrow regardless. They just simply, if they are still important, they go on to the next day's get done list. Okay? Gonna play a little music, have a go, write down your list of things you need to do tomorrow, and then prioritize them. Okay, so now you have your list of things you're going to do tomorrow. You can then help sometimes to schedule your time, to schedule your day. Okay. Some people really hate this and don't like being stuck in a specific schedule. Other people need to know what they're doing at certain times a day. All right. So it can help you. And I'm going to put the music back on just quickly, just for a minute, to try and schedule your day. If you have like a diary that you use, it can help to write like the numbers in. So if you number your get done list, you could then put number 1 is being done between 8 and 10. Okay. Or something like that. Or if you've got an appointment, make sure it's written down. All right. The other thing I want you to do, especially if scheduling is not your thing and you don't know how long these things are going to take, so you don't really want to schedule it, that's okay. I want you to write a list of things that you could do tomorrow as 10-minute tasks. So the things that when you find yourself off track or unmotivated, having a list of things that you can go and do so that you don't have to think about it. You just be like, right, I'm not being productive. I'm going to go and do that. You pick it off the list and you go and do it. Hoover the lounge, hoover the stairs, clean the bathroom, whatever it is that you're going to do when you find yourself not being productive at work. Okay. Obviously, if you're in the office tomorrow, don't hoover the floor. That might be a bit funny, but it could be wipe your desk or go and go for a walk around the building, or just pop out to your car for 5 minutes, or just read a book, something that you can do that takes 10 minutes that's going to give you a feeling of achievement. All right. So just a couple of minutes just to write down your things so that you've got a list that you can always refer back to. Because I find if I am in uber unproductive mode, I can't even think of something to go and do instead. So I always have a list of things that need to be done. They're usually on like bits of paper around my desk, or they're on my planner. All right, but write these down, and then we will get into having a look at the last part of our session, which is the self-image. Okay. Cool. So, last little bit. You know where you're going. You know how to get done what you need to get done every day to get there. The last little piece of the puzzle is your self-image. Okay? So your self-image is held in your subconscious mind, and it's been built over years and years and years of feedback. It's the image of yourself that shapes your results. So if you were repeatedly told as a child that you were shy, you'll probably find that speaking to a big group of people is the most intimidating thing on the planet because you are shy, because that's what you believe yourself to be. Now, you might not be shy. So, for example, I have a 9-year-old daughter. She is not shy. She is the most outgoing, confident little madam in the planet. But when she goes into a new situation, like we go to a new soft play, or she goes to, she does a lot of choir practices and things. When you first go in the room, she hangs back and she hides And I've heard people say to me, oh, she's shy. And I'm like, no, she's not shy. She's just scoping out the room. So she's seeing what's going on, where she fits, and things like that. As soon as she's happy and she feels safe and that she's at ease, she's straight in, straight to the front, straight doing everything that you wanted to do, everything. So she's not shy. She's just a little bit wary sometimes, or she likes to know what's going on before she throws herself in. Okay, which is something she's always done. Okay, but I've never once told her or said to anyone that she's shy, because she's not. She's really confident and outgoing. But if I was to condition her from a young age and say, oh no, she's just shy, as she gets older, she's going to believe she's shy when she's not. Okay? So think about, sometimes you'll have personality traits and things that you picked up as you were growing up from family members, ideas, cultures, anything like that, that have basically formed your subconscious image of yourself. And as I said at the very beginning, you had no control over that. You couldn't change any of that now if you tried, like just by saying, no, I'm not that. Okay. But what you can do is decide that from now on, from this point on, I am this, not that. Okay. And it's how you can see people go from the most shyest, reserved kid in the class to being the all-out pop star on the stage, or the public's motivational speaker. Okay. They've changed their self-image, how they see themselves. And your self-image can be likened to like the autopilot on a plane. It knows its destination and it's like flying along. But if the direction changes on a plane, if it gets knocked off course while it's flying to wherever it's flying, the autopilot brings it back on course. Okay? It just does it automatically. And our bodies and our minds are the same. So if you set a goal on New Year's Eve that you're going to lose 2 pounds or whatever it is by X date, and you start losing it, but you don't change in your mind the image of yourself, your body will put it straight back on without you realizing. You have to change the inside to be able to change the outside. Okay? And when you see all these amazing stories of people that have lost like 50 kilograms or whatever it is, like 20 kilograms off their weight over a year, it's because they changed their self-image. They decided that they are not fat. They have changed their self-image of themselves, and their body has caught up. Okay? So your self-image is changeable, and you are the designer of it. So if you want to have that body of a goddess by the summer, tell yourself that that is what is happening. Remove all mirrors from your house so you can't see it. Okay? And then just focus on doing the work, changing the food, and focusing on what you need to do every day, being held accountable by a coach or a friend or something, or a family member, to get to where you want to go. And in your mind, everything from here down is what you see in your head. You don't look at reflections, you don't look at mirrors, you don't look at scales, you don't look at any of that. In your head, you are seeing what your outcome is going to be. Okay? And then you just keep working towards it. And you kind of trick yourself. It's a bit like the phrase, fake it till you make it. You've got to keep telling yourself that you're this thing you want to be, even though your present reality says that you're exactly the opposite. But you are the main character in your life. Think of it like a movie. And you are the director. So you get to decide where your life goes next. If you're cripplingly shy now and you've got a message that you want to give to the world, you're going to need to see yourself as that motivational speaker. You're going to need to change the way that you see yourself in order to get the results that you want to get. Okay? So when you think about that goal that you've written down at the beginning of this session, or when you've decided on it in a couple of days' time, you've got to really think about the type of person that has that. So when you've got that, who are you? What do you wear? Where do you go? Who do you hang out with? Where do you live? What do you drive? Yeah, how does your hair look? What hobbies and activities do you do then? As if you're doing it all now. And then what you do is you write a script. So a bit like a movie script, and this might feel a little bit uncomfortable for some, and a little bit like, what the hell, this is never going to work. But that's your subconscious speaking, because this is really, really powerful. So you write yourself a script of who you are going to be when you've hit that goal. Okay, so it's a full description of everything that you have, everything that you are, everything that you do, what you look like, and you got to be as specific as possible. Okay, you can then take it to the next level and build a vision board. Yeah, so it's like a picture. You can do it online, or you can do it as like a collage on a big bit of paper of all the things that you will have when you reach that goal. Me and my daughter did one over New Year. It's a big, I think it's A2 size, and it's on the kitchen wall. And it's filled of pictures of places we want to travel to, the designs for the camper van. We've just moved into a new home for us. We've got bits we want to do in the house. So we've got pictures of the things that we're going to do in the house. I've got my timetable, my schedule right in the middle with all my business goals and things on it as well. So it's a visual. Every time we sit down to dinner, breakfast, lunch, or whatever, it's right there. And we're constantly feeding it into our subconscious. Okay. Now, the self-image script is obviously written. And there are some people that say it's a really good idea to write it out every day for a month to really get it ingrained, or to read it every day. Or the one that I found really powerful is to write it and then read it aloud and record your voice reading it. Now, that is a little bit weird because none of us like to hear our own voice. It's just how it is sometimes. But when you read it and you listen to it back and you're talking to yourself, it actually goes in a lot quicker. All right. So a self-image script, it's usually at least a couple of pages because it's detailed. It's everything. It's everything that you are going to be when you've reached that goal. All right. So in the interest of time today, I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to kind of just write some bullet points. Or if you want to start writing full scripts like longhand, feel free. Okay, whichever works best for you. But you're thinking about your goal and the person who has achieved it. So the person you're going to be, your future you. What do you look like? Where do you go? What do you have? Who are you being? Who do you hang out with? All of it. Okay? So you're writing the script of your life. So we'll play some music. And when it stops, we'll then move into the last little section. So enjoy. This is where you get to dream. So this is you with everything you've ever wanted. Who are you at that point? Okay, go for it. Fair. So again, that is something that is going to take a little bit of time. So come back to it. Maybe this evening, instead of binge watching another series on Netflix or whatever it is, if you've got some time, put yourself in a nice quiet room and just add to it. Okay? But what I want to do right now is just ask if anyone has any questions.
It's a lot of.
So if anyone wants to raise a hand who's on mute or just wants to come off mute or whichever, or if you've got any questions on the Facebook or YouTube streams, please feel free to put them in now and we'll get them answered for you. I'm very good at this point, just randomly waffling so people have got time to type if they don't want to speak, which is all good. Okay, so I will just check the streams as well, see if anything's coming through. Nothing on Facebook at the moment. It's all good if you don't have questions, because we've covered a lot of information. So it could be something that maybe if something comes up for you later on, or if you're watching this on the replay, or if you're watching it through a second time, anything like that, just drop me a message. Okay, all my contact details will be at the end. Obviously, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you already have my details, so they are on there. Everyone who registered for the Zoom, I will send the recording out. Hence the reason also for doing it sort of live on YouTube, because it's then saved for us already in its purest, rawest form. So I can't edit it, which is great, because that's the best way to go, isn't it? You see all these videos, sometimes you'll go on a live, and then when you watch the recording, they've chopped half of it out because it didn't make them sound very good. We don't do that. This is me. Okay? But if no one has any questions, what we will do is I will share the next steps so that I can let you guys get on with your rest of your day, getting your get-dones done. Okay? So go back to your wants list. Get everything down. Even if it sounds really stupid, or if you showed it to someone else, they'd be like, oh, what do you want that for? Why would you possibly want that? It doesn't matter. It's not their list, it's yours. Okay? So if you've got something on there that you're questioning because, well, what will other people think? Write it down. If you want it, you want it. Okay? Same with the self-image script. Okay? Get that written down, read it back, and then read it out loud and record it, and then listen to it whenever. Could be when you jump in a car, if it's just you in a car journey. Listen to it while you're driving. Listen to it just before you go to bed or first thing in the morning. Okay? It really stimulates your subconscious because you're talking to yourself with your voice. It thinks it's real. Your subconscious mind can't dictate whether something is real or false. If you tell it it's real, you might be lying to yourself, but it doesn't know that. Then it will eventually believe it and start to change. Okay? Further information on all of the productivity tips that I shared, so the 6 tips, I have actually put together a time mastery course, which is on my website. I'll include the link with the email that I send out to you wonderful Zooms peoples. Anyone on Facebook or YouTube, I will post the link shortly. But you will also get 20% off any of my self-study courses. So we've got time mastery. I've also got a journal, planituding, which is planning and gratituding all in one go. And I made a new word. That's currently slightly being updated because I've recently changed my logo and haven't updated the documents yet, but I'm doing it. So your 20% off code of any of my self-study courses is GPS 20. Nice and easy to remember. And you also have the opportunity to jump on a one-to-one complimentary, completely free half-hour call with me to discuss any of the stuff that we've covered on here or anything else that you might find of any of the content that I've done or off my website or anything like that. So I will put my contact details up there. Stalk me, follow me, not stalk me. Follow me on socials if you so choose. And let's keep in touch. So I really, really do hope this was helpful. I look forward to speaking to you all again soon. As I said, I've got a couple of business expos coming up in Exeter in April and July. There'll be loads of information on that across my socials. And if you want to hear from me more often, I have a newsletter that I publish every Wednesday. It used to be Wednesday and Saturday, and then I started forgetting to do Saturdays, so I've scaled it down to a Wednesday just in case. All right. So thank you again for joining me, either live or on the replays or on any of the streams. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day and go and get done what needs to get done to get you to where you want to go. Have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of your day.
That was really informative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very